White women didn't just own enslaved black men. Some controlled their bodies, broke their spirits, and called it normal. The image of the harmless Southern belle is a myth. Many white women held real power over black men's lives, during slavery, and after. In this video, we're uncovering how they used that power, protected themselves, and shaped a system in which their actions caused deep harm with no accountability. Let's dive in. What role did white women play in controlling black men? During slavery, black men were stripped of everything. Their names, their families, their futures. They were forced to labor from sunup to sundown. Their backs beaten, their dignity erased. They were treated as tools, not human beings. But the violence wasn't just physical. It was mental, emotional, and deeply personal. The abuse didn't just come from white men. White women had their own ways of causing pain. They mistreated black men with their words, their hands, or with silence. Some did it because they were cruel, or because they were jealous. And others just because they could. They saw everything: the beatings, the chaining, the dragging. They saw when their husbands raped enslaved women. But they said nothing. Some white women turned their pain inward and took it out on the enslaved men around them. They'd starve them or humiliate them. They'd spit on them, slap them, call them names. Not only that, but they used power to remind these men they were not free, not even in body, not even in thought. And when it came to the untouchable, some white women forced themselves on black men, as much, and as often, as they could. They knew those men couldn't say no. If they resisted, they risked being unalived. Sometimes white women did it out of anger at their husbands, who were raping black women. Sometimes out of loneliness, but no matter the reason, it was abuse. And if a child came from it, the consequences were severe. The men might be sold, beaten, or unalived. The babies might meet the same fate. And the white woman would go on living as if nothing had happened. What power did white women pass down? During slavery, white women gained real power inside the home, and over the lives of enslaved people. They controlled daily life, assigned duties, punished disobedience, and helped uphold the system of slavery from within the household. And even after slavery ended, many of them found ways to hold on to that control. They passed it down. Inside their homes, white women shaped how their children viewed the world. They taught more than manners, or Bible verses. They taught their children that whiteness meant superiority, and power. That being white makes you better than everyone else. And their children learned that message by watching what they did, and said. When children asked about race, they were often told that the white race was superior, to all others in every way. Beyond the home, white women used their roles in schools, churches, and neighborhoods to spread these same beliefs. They chose what books were read, which lessons were taught, and which truths were left out. And even now, the message still exists, handed down through generations. Are white women still using power over black men today? White women had been raised to believe they were above black men. So when black men gained the right to vote before they did, it felt like a direct challenge to their place in society. Many were furious. They saw black male progress as a threat to white womanhood. So they pushed back, in the only way they knew how. They used their words, voices, tears, and their lies. White women often accused black men of being threatening, improper, or out of line. And the punishment didn't wait for proof. All it took was a claim, one look, one lie, and one word. They knew that society would believe them without question. In 1955, a 14-year-old boy named Emmett Till was accused by a white woman. She claimed he whistled at her. Decades later, she admitted it wasn't true. But by then, it was too late. That wasn't the first time, and it wouldn't be the last time. Throughout history, white women have used false accusations to control black men, or stay out of trouble, just like they did during slavery. This pattern didn't stop with Emmett Till, or Jim Crow. In 1994, a white woman named Susan Smith claimed a black man took her car with her 2 sons in the back seat. For days, the nation believed her. Police searched for an innocent black man who didn't exist. Later, the truth came out. She had unalived her children. But she blamed a black man. Because she knew people would believe her. And because history had always believed her. Their lies had power. Not just on plantations. But in courtrooms, headlines, police reports, and public opinion. Black men keep paying the price. Are white women still keeping black men in the dark? During slavery, black men had no control over their own bodies. They were not allowed to say no, not even to the white women, who held power over them. Some of these women used their positions to satisfy their desires by controlling when and how they had access to black men. The men who were forced into these situations often felt shame, fear, and confusion. They could not talk about it, or refuse. Because they knew that if anyone, especially the woman's husband, walked in, they would be unalived. Can you imagine being him? He carried the fear. She walked away untouched. This was the reality for many black men during slavery. They were used and blamed. Today, that kind of power still shows up, just differently. Some white women now travel to the islands, seeking out black men for attention, intimacy, or excitement. Maybe offering gifts or promises to help. These encounters are typically kept quiet. It may look like a choice, but the pattern is familiar. The white woman still holds the power. The black man is still seen as something to enjoy for a moment, then left behind. He is wanted for his body, not for who he is. In the decades after slavery, relationships between black men and white women remained dangerous and highly taboo. It wasn't until 1967, after the Supreme Court ruling in Loving versus Virginia, that interracial marriage became legal across the country. Even then, it wasn't widely accepted. But something changed, over time. In the world of sports, music, and entertainment, many successful black men began to marry white women. These men had wealth, fame, and access. Something most black men had been denied for centuries. But the women they chose were often not rich themselves. Many were waitresses, babysitters, or women working service jobs. Like Tiger Woods, who married a former nanny. These weren't equal power couples. They reflected a different kind of pattern. Some people saw these relationships as a sign of progress. But others asked hard questions.
Why?
Do wealthy black men often choose white women from lower social or financial positions? Why not choose women on their own financial level? It raises the issue of image and access. Some white women see a wealthy black man as a prize, someone who can lift them into a new lifestyle. And some black men see white women as untouchable. Or a symbol of status, acceptance, or safety, in a world that still treats blackness as less than. We searched. We used every tool at our fingertips, including ChatGPT. And we couldn't find a single example of a wealthy, or famous white woman marrying a black man before 1980. Not in entertainment. Not in sports. Not in business. Not even in private families. So again we have to ask?
Why?
Because in the end, some of these men build wealth from
Nothing.
only to hand it right back to the very race that once owned their ancestors. And no one ever calls it reparations. That's a wrap. History seekers. Getting to the roots is where history comes alive. We uncover the truth about Africa, African Americans, and American history. One story at a time. If this hits home, keep going. Watch more on our YouTube playlist. True History Exposed. Thanks for watching. Peace and love.